So mostly slides, a little bit of demo today, a few tips and techniques and things. So I will kick off with this one. So basically we're on day 3 of the whole recruitment part, and we're looking really at applicant tracking system, and I'm including in this kind of rights to work, vetting, where am I with my applicants and tracking. What I might do in the advanced reports builder is I might track back to 3 or 4 customers that are doing some quite clever stuff by exporting the data from the applicant tracking system, because we have audit data as well as the actual data that you see in the system. And they're putting it into things like Power BI and Excel pivot tables and doing reports on them and coming back to us and saying, can you store this, or can we also record that so that we can do more management reports? Because it's so important for people to make sure that if they're starting to advertise, as you know, some of the businesses we're dealing with are quite substantial now, and they're spending a fortune on advertising. They want to know what's working, but more importantly, if they've got a project and they need 500 people in 400 Sainsbury's, they need to get those people pretty fast, because that's money coming in the door and satisfied customers. So basically, we're all trying to get the good people and make sure that the poor people go to our competition. We've had a look at the recruitment process and application form builder, and we'll be returning to that just a little bit in the future. I'm going to be talking today about job advertising, Friday's reporting. I was going to also have a look at vetting and the place for the various Accelerate tools to fit in. And I hope this kicks you off with some ideas of how to use the systems in your organization. And of course, as ever, call support, have a go at these things, call support, and see if you can figure them through with us. So your recruitment process may be very simple. Advertise, somebody fills in an application form. If you fancy that they might work for you, interview them and hire them. Later on in the job application, the job, the jazz, the job application process, job application status, they'll be working for you hopefully, but some will be rejected, and of course that's all recorded on the system. It can also be very, very complex. If you are doing, if you have to comply with SIA type checking, or if you're in the military or government or whatever, where you have to collect an awful lot of data, check it, and you have to check that you've checked it, and then somebody who's an overall auditor has to check that the main vetting team have actually checked the paperwork, and so on and so forth. It's all very CIA stuff. So what I'm going to be focusing on today is this job advertising. The whole idea, as you'll recall, is that you have various job positions, and they may be internal permanent positions, like you might be hiring the person that hires the people or the person that books the people, or a new FD, but they could also be we need 300 people to do merchandising at Tesco's, or we need 58 more stewards because we've somehow won the bid for the Commonwealth Games, and that we promised them 300 and we've only got 250 in Glasgow. It's the usual kind of recruitment challenges that you have when, God bless them, customers sign on the dotted line and you weren't quite expecting it, or you certainly weren't expecting it in Walsall. You'll remember there were these tiles. Now some of these logos that you can put on them will be the client logos. So they'll be exactly the same as these logos here. And some of them, of course, will be your own internal hiring. Because lots of people didn't put any pictures on at all, the product used to look awful, and it used to have like crosses. So one of the things I was going to show you was the dashboard admin, so that you can take a look at how this dashboard looks. So an average recruiter would have everything, but the top recruiter or a systems super user would also have this dashboard admin. So the dashboard that we're looking at can be designed by you and evolved by you to show exactly what you would like. So when we asked customers what they wanted on their posting dashboard, they said, well, we want the job title and the job code. We certainly want to know how many applications we've had, who's registered, where they've come from. And then some people said, oh, we need to know how many internal applications there are. So to be fair, you have to allow people who are probably actually very, very good candidates who might be working for you in the field. They might be a steward at, regularly at Kempton and Epsom or something, but they'd quite like to be a team leader, or they'd like to work in the office and you'd like them to work in the office, and so on. So Other people have said, no, we just want number of people that have completed that form 2, number of people have been interviewed, number of people have been rejected. So we've got, as with ever in Accelerate, an ability for your super users, with the agreement of the board and with the subsequent training of staff and feedback from staff in the first place, to be able to change the system. And that all takes place in Dashboard Admin. So in Dashboard Admin, one of the first things you can see is I can put a logo on here for the actual job. So the default is this Accelerate logo in this case. But if I go back to the dashboard, you can see this one's a football ground. Now there's one around here which is kitchen staff, and if I go and look at that job posting, I can put a specific job image in there. So remember, I can put the job title, I can put a job image in there. So I've got a pizzeria ping, Control C, which I did earlier, Control V, there we go. And if I save that now, remember all the saves in this are audited. Then I can go back to the posting dashboard and refresh, and I should have a pizza picture up there. There we go. So the next thing that people want on the dashboard is they would want for any of these job posts to be able to say, for the stage 1, I want to know how many people have applied. For stage 2, I want to know how many people have not just applied but have been interviewed. I want to know how many people have been rejected and how many we've actually hired. So what you can do is in here you can decide what stages those are. So if we take a look, for example, at this one here, what have we got? New applications, registered applications, and so on. And in Dashboard Admin, you say which those are. Also in Dashboard Admin, when you you can put custom scripts in, which I won't bother with now, but you can also link. I don't know. I mentioned yesterday Willow. I worked on the Meet the Real Me interface many years ago. They went bust. Caroline did most of the work with Shortlister, and I've met the guys from Willow, lovely guys. I'm writing a case study with them, but my colleague Ed did lots of the work on the Willow interface. All of these tools, if you're hiring in bulk, you often want to interview them, but you haven't got the time. And so with all of these tools, during the application process, while they're filling in their forms on their phone or whatever medium they're using to fill out the form to do the applications for you, there can be a stage where you can send them off and you'll have 3 or 4 questions. And these are, here we go, the Willow interview platform, the Willow callback platform, and so on. And with a lot of these, talent coach, Shortlister, Willow, which is one of the most popular ones at the moment, you can send them off to answer your questions and be videoed. So if you've got 300 applicants for a job, and there are lots of jobs where you get very high numbers of applicants now, the ones that you've picked on the basis of some qualifications, you can then send them off to see if they've got a personality as well, and they can answer back literally on their phone. Is a video, so it's very, very quick for you to just skim through the videos just of the ones that you're interested in having a look at. Very, very useful tools that are available these days. And these guys, I think they charge, I don't know, £300 or £400 a month or something for the service, and you can have as many videos as you want or whatever it is. You can also, there's lots and lots of security on the system, as you would expect. There's lots of sign off from finance if you click a button to say I want to advertise it. So that's the dashboard admin. Remember, the average recruiter would just see this, and when they see a job like this job here, they would see the details of the job they're going to advertise. They can click and they can say, I want to advertise it on Indeed, let's say our own website, Facebook, and our intranet, and something else, and then they can hit publish. Now in this particular case, I haven't got very much detail on here. I haven't got job positions and so on and so forth. So you can see there's a heck of a lot of things that are missing, but the whole idea here is that you can publish that information, and when you've got an application form, you can put the application form URL that you've just created in here. And do you remember yesterday we had one which ended with the tag cater? So I would put that tag in here. So we would put that URL in here, and then there could be an application form 2 URL. Remember, there could be multiple stages. But in application form 1 here, you would put in the application form, and it would end up with the tag cater, and it would be a different application form for example, your match day stewards or your merchandising or something else, or your health and safety person, or a permanent application form. Remember, you can build as many application forms as you want. The important thing about this is that when it goes out to these adverts, it acquires another tag. And so that means as the applicants come back in, when you look at the applicants that come back in, you can see in the report that comes back, well, it looks like I need to refresh. I imagine I've been logged out of this. I would put all the details, and all those details go through to the adverts, and the adverts would so Indeed have what's called an application programmer interface, and we've written it so that you can press publish Indeed, bang, off it goes to the Indeed site. Likewise, Reed, the grocer. Facebook, I don't know if you're aware, but Facebook have little hooks for us developers to be able to push these things through to Facebook. And of course, your website, we can deal with your unless we're developing your website, we can work with your website designer to make sure that the website, when you publish these adverts, they go straight through to your website nice and neatly into the join us or whatever place you need. The thing that I wanted to talk about next was vetting, and the idea here is that you produce one advert. It changes depending on which medium it goes through, and in this example here, it's on 3 media, so it's very similar to the fact that I've ticked 3 boxes here, and then it knows which medium a particular person applied through, and hence you can get that report of the applicants. So that data comes back in and you can report on it. But today what I was going to do was I was just going to take a look at vetting very quickly. And you'll recall that in the security area, especially if you need to have SIA badge holders, there is no point in vetting somebody for their employment references and their rights to work or anything else if you can't prove their identity, because they could send their brother up or anything. So the idea of vetting is that if you're in security, there's a lot of it that you have to do. You have to have, and I think all of us would be pleased to know that the average door manager that's talking to us, professional door manager that's talking to us, at the supermarket or outside the pub, the average person that's looking at us on CCTV and so on has been thoroughly vetted. And that's much of the sort of bottom part, of this form. The top part, though, I believe is useful for absolutely every employer. So you don't have to go to a full BS 7858 standard for your staff, but it's well worth storing and having a workshop, i.e., an actual induction face-to-face workshop where you do check somebody's physical passport and maybe a proof of address like a gas bill. And this facility here allows you to do that. So when you bring this member of staff in, this lady here, whose name must be somewhere on this form, then Helen Tilbury, there we go, this imaginary Helen Tilbury, you can see a full audit of who has checked. And so the idea here is you can see what stage she's at, what job application stage, her contact status, her mobile number would be in here, and all the contact details if she turns up late. And then very importantly, when you click on this button here, this add file button, if you're on a mobile phone or a tablet, as you would be, you can take a picture of their passport and you can make sure that it's the same person as in this photo, because people could have, in application forms, we see people uploading pictures of penguins from the Microsoft thing. We see people pictures of flowers, pictures of them with 10 mates. So this is an opportunity when you're face to face with them with a tablet or a phone to take a picture of their passport and sign off that this was definitely the person that applied. If you turn it around another way, if you have a member of staff and you haven't done this testing, checking and proof of ID, and they do something naughty on a customer site, and it turns out that you actually didn't know who they were, you thought they did, then it kind of doesn't make our company look very good when that happens. So the idea here is this will switch on your camera, this button here. If you do it on a PC, you have to upload a file from somewhere. But if you're on a tablet or a camera, one of the brilliant things about modern life is it switches on the camera. You take a picture of their passport, and then you tick the button, and then the verify person, so you verify, and then down at the bottom, somebody else verifies your verification. So this tick box here has to be a different logged in user to these tick boxes here. And you can then obviously collect a group A picture ID like a passport or a driving license, and a group B proof of address, for example, like a gas bill or a bank statement. Don't forget that there is and we're going to be talking about this when we talk about the app later on in the next few days. There is a huge amount of opportunity to be able to pick up information from your staff within the app. And I just wanted to run through a couple of examples. So one of them is you're probably aware there's a full chat facility, which I'll demonstrate again. I think I might have demonstrated it to most people that are on this call, but there's a full like a WhatsApp chat facility. As you know, we've got a buying club, and we are now buying millions and millions of texts. And texts are a grade A gold standard way to communicate with staff fast. But the telecoms companies prioritize those messages and charge us a few pence for each text. The buying club now has got those prices down the lowest ever. If you Google on the accelerate.com website, you can see what the prices are now and compare it with previous prices. You know, we get them down, and thank you very much for the volume that you're buying, because it allows us to keep on reducing those prices with our suppliers. The staff can obviously update their details. So if you text them all out or send out a chat or email them and say, please go onto the site and update your details, or upload a later copy of your visa if that's important, they can clearly keep you up to date, keep their bank account details up to date, contact details, and so on. More importantly, you're probably aware that before people get into the app, you can make them sign off on your terms and conditions, but you can make them sign off on multiple things if you wish to. So one of the clever ideas that actually is one of your colleagues, Tony, came up with was they have a lot of staff uniforms, and they did an audit, kind of like a fess up for what uniforms you've got. So before they went into the app, one New Year's period in the first week of January a couple of years ago, one of the things that they had to tick was the latest terms and conditions. And then the next thing they had to do was they had to download this questionnaire before they went into the app. And it said, how many t-shirts have you got? How many of these? How many banners? How many bits of Harris fencing, or whatever it was that they might have had round at their houses? And people fessed up to hundreds and hundreds of items. It was a very, very successful exercise. And don't forget, obviously, this is relevant to, there's lots of, as you know, there's a huge number of features which we'll be dealing with in booking and other areas. But one of the big areas is, don't forget that you can switch on if you haven't already switched on. One of the many options, there's hundreds of options and thousands of pieces of vocabulary and things on the app that you can switch on and off and adjust. But one of the most important ones, I think, is recommend a friend. If you've got good members of staff and they recommend members of staff, that saves your recruitment, and it's probably even worth putting a recruitment bonus, and they'll probably be good members of staff as well because they've been recommended by somebody. Obviously, you're not just recruiting staff. We're going to be dealing with the fully learning package later, but one of the most important things is induction. So either before hiring them or shortly after the induction process, the hiring point. Obviously, there will be lots of information that you'll want to make sure that they have not just read about, but you've tested their knowledge on. So it could be, for example, lone worker safety, you know, what to do if you turn up for a cleaning shift at Blue Water in the middle of the night and there's nobody else there. You know, find out where the security guards are, find out who's local, make sure you have your phone with you, whatever your policies are for lone workers. So all of that kind of e-learning is now being used by a lot of our customers, not just for general policies for the company, but also for specific brands. When you're working for a specific brand, you can brief the staff on them literally, and on the bus on the way to doing the job, they can read it up and they can do the test, so that you can demonstrate to the client that the behavior that they demanded in the contract from you is, the staff are well trained and they know what they're supposed to do when they're on one of your sites. Thank you very much indeed for your time.